Hi, welcome to the channel. I'm Summer. Today's video, we are taking inspo from these Pixies to create our cut today. We are breaking down the importance of sectioning. We're cutting both wet and dry, and hopefully watching this video, it will help you explain to your stylist if this is a cut that you want. If you like short hair, but you're over the dated, spiky look, wanting more options when it comes to styling, this cut is going to be perfect for you. Let's get started. Okay, so we are going to get started for today's cut. Like mentioned, we're taking inspiration from these cuts for the haircut we're creating today. They all look very similar. They're cut very similar ways. It's just kind of all in how you style. You have the option to wear it nice and sleek, or you can add some more volume to it. You can make it a little bit more textured looking. It's all in how you style, but that's what's nice about this cut is it's very versatile. So we're going to section off first, and where I would typically just come right at the ear to create my section, I'm actually gonna be coming back further with the round of the head, and that is because we're gonna be cutting all of this front hair dry. And I'll explain why as we get closer into it, but the way this is cut to preserve more of that length on top to make sure you get a smooth, sleek look when you want the option of that for styling, it's best to cut that dry so you really know you haven't taken away any excess length. So to create this side section, what we're doing is we're coming here to where the comb starts rounding at the head. And I'm gonna take my section there and we're just gonna come in at an angle down to the ear and comb all of this forward. And I actually am gonna back it up just a little bit more. Perfect. And now you're probably like, Summer, that's so much hair that's gonna be left in the sides. It's gonna fall into the back and look like out of place. We're gonna be blending everything in, but doing this type of sectioning is going to ensure that we have all the length that we need in the front to create that really smooth, sleek look. All right, and then we're gonna do the same on the other side, and you're just gonna follow with where your part line here is at the top. You can look again with the comb if you want, meet up, and then come down at an angle towards the ear. Okay, so we've got the back sectioned off, and then I'm going to tilt her head down. You would want your client to look down as well. And then so we're gonna be removing all of this length. This is gonna be a really nice, tight, short haircut. So what I like to do is I kind of will work in diagonal sections, and I do a lot of scissor over comb when creating the back. Last week's haircut was more of like a Pixie-ish. It was pixie and short. You had a lot of open ear exposure, but you had much more length than what we're leaving today. This is gonna be, you're drying the back sort of with your fingers and just brushing everything down. We're gonna come in, we're gonna take this basically right at someone's hairline, right beneath it. So this is fully off the neck. Even out on this other side. And then as we come into the side here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start angling up into the ear. So our fingers are pointing down. We're coming to our guide here and cut. So you created your angle here already that's gonna work up eventually into the ear. Hands are on the opposite side. Fingers are pointing up. I see my guide. Cut. And then what you'd want to do is come back here and you can check your corners. We will be evening everything out after we get all of it cut. So I'm more so right now, I'm just concerned with removing the bulk of the length here. Come in on the other side at a diagonal. So you're kind of keeping a V. And then we're just gonna go scissor over comb. I see my guide underneath, cut. I like to do scissor over comb when cutting the shorter pixies just because I find it easier. I mean, you could come in still with your fingers, but when it's shorter, I just find it's easier to go over scissor over comb. And as you come into these corners, you're gonna still, I like to angle my comb a little bit to match that up. All right, and then we're gonna take our next section. You can come at this straight across if you want. I'll do this section for you guys so you can see if you get too intimidated by doing it at the diagonal. You don't have to do the diagonal. So you'd still, we're straight across, come in, scissor over comb. I see my previous guide through here, cut. So the only thing when you do it straight across, you leave a little bit more length here, so you'll still want to come in at the angle to clean up what's in between there. So whatever works the best for you when cutting. If it's going straight across and then going in to do your angle, do that. And if it's going diagonal, whatever works best for you. I need to remove a little bit more length. All right, we're going to create our next section to be cut. As you move further up the head, I kind of will pull the scissor out as I cut, just to do a little bit of like elevation. And then if pixies are new to you, as far as if you're a hairstylist, my best piece of advice, because they can get really overwhelming, take your time, book out extra time. I really enjoy cutting pixies. I feel like you don't get to do it that often, but I always would book out more time. So if my normal haircut time was an hour, I would give myself like an hour and 15, maybe an hour and a half if I had never cut the client's hair before. Once you get to know the client's hair, it's a lot easier to breeze through it. But a lot of a pixie, you need to take your time. That's why we're gonna be dry cutting this front. Just because you get to see the hair is laid exactly where it's gonna be when it's dry. So you never are gonna be over cutting when it's wet. And that's gonna be really important for the way that these front pieces lay. And that's why I like to do them dry, because I want total control. And I wanna make sure I don't remove too much length accidentally when it's wet, because the hair shrinks after it gets dry. So now at this point, we're just coming in and I'm gonna just grab this, see my little baby guide here, and I'm just gonna angle straight up with my shears to remove some of this length. I know that we will probably cut more later after the fact, but for now I just wanna get that bulk gone, and I will perfect it after we cut into the sides. So all that piece fell, and I'm just literally sliding up with my shears. And then, so now what I like to do before we start drying, I'm just gonna go through, scissor over comb kind of everywhere, make sure everything's lining up, nip anything that might be poking out. A little bit longer on this side. All right, so I'm gonna leave that for now, and then what we're gonna do is I'm gonna let all of this out. The hair is going to be parted to wherever it is that your client wears the hair. I'm doing a side part here. And so all I'm gonna do is put a little bit of oil in it. This is Redken's Oil for All. I'm just doing like 2 pumps, 3. And I'm gonna put that all through the hair just to give some heat protection. And we are going to be blow drying everything straight forward. I want it nice and flat. I don't wanna create any volume, so that way I know where it's gonna lay exactly where I want it to for when somebody wants to wear this sleek and smooth. And then we're gonna start shaping the hair to get into the Pixie side cutting. All right, we're done. We're ready to go. Just kidding. It'd be nice if that was the case. So the reason why I blow all this out so smooth first, and we have a lot of length we're removing, because you're like, where's the ear? The ear is going to get exposed here. But I like blowing it out because I want this top section of hair. This is like the most important part of a pixie. You never want to overcut this section if somebody wants to have more length on top, where they have the option to wear it really smooth, make it messy, curl it, give it some texture, or body. This is like gold. You never want to overcut this. So I want this to be as sleek and smooth as possible because I know that I want it to always be at this ear region. This is going to come down over all of this, but I do not want to cut this. This is going to be the last thing that we cut, and we're going to mostly just be like kind of cutting into it to remove. Obviously it's got some length here that needs to be taken off, but we're going to be removing bulk from it, but I don't want to jeopardize this length at all. So this whole top section, I'm going to even overcompensate a little bit here and cut into it a little bit more. I'm going to clip up out of the way. So you could use your comb to do this. Put the comb against the head. Where the comb leaves the head, that's about where you want to take your section and clip all the hair up. I'm going to just do a little bit more, and I'll do this in salon too, so that way I know I didn't remove too much length from the top, because trust me guys, it's always better to have to go back in and cut more because you left it long. You don't ever want to cut too much and it's just gone. Like, no client is ever happy with that, trust me. So this is clipped up out of the way, and I'm just gonna, on this other side, you'll do the same on this other side, but for now, I'm just gonna clip it tight so I don't touch it. And then we're gonna start creating the sides. This is where it gets real fun. So first things first, we're gonna come in and create our first section. And you wanna think of this area as being like nice and tight. You want it to sort of almost have like an undercut feel. So that way you don't get like poofy out at the sides. You want the volume coming from the top. You don't want it coming from the sides in your ear, creating kind of just like a poofy look. So like I did last week's video, I work sort of in like a triangle idea. I'm just gonna come up from our previous guide here, up into the tip of that ear. And I'm just gonna do a triangle now on the other side going down. I need to cut just a tiny bit more right here. And I'm just literally gonna take out this chunk because it's bothering me. So I'm not fully coming off of the ear. We have, the ear is exposed, but you're not fully off the tip of the ear. Most of all those haircuts, I don't think any of them were fully exposing the ear. And then this is gonna get cut into, but for now I'm gonna leave it when we go to create the bang. So now that I've done that, I'm just gonna come scissor over comb to sort of start layering this a little bit to help keep it from being too poofy. And then you're gonna let your next section come down, little small sections at a time. You want to be able to see that guide. And then you're just literally gonna do some scissor over comb. And let this last piece fall. And now what I'm gonna do is we're just gonna work basically in layers. We're gonna take the hair, come up. I keep an angle here, cut. So what you wanna do is start looking at it in the mirror and seeing how smooth or tight it is to the face. We are gonna cut into this, so I want you to try to not think that this length is here, but you wanna see how smooth and flat it's laying. This is similar to last week's video. I wanted it nice and smooth, but I want it a little bit tighter. So I'm gonna come back to my scissor over comb. And that's removing a little bit more length. Or more of a, it's creating more of a layer, I should say, so you're getting rid of that bulk. And sometimes I'll even add more texture by cutting into the hair as it falls. Let's smooth that out a little bit more. You don't want this like poofing out all around. You want it tighter, so as the eyes go up the head and you have the hair on top, that's where you're getting your volume. You don't want to add roundness and volume typically right in here because it widens the face. So you want this nice and tight. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna let down most of this hair. We're still gonna think scissor over comb, where the comb leaves the head. So we got a little bit more hair we can cut, because again, remember, I wanted to give myself a little bit of an insurance policy. So I'm gonna still tuck out this very top layer and leave that out of the way, so I know I'm not cutting into this too much, so we can have a nice amount that curves down. So we're gonna just continue sort of with scissor over comb and doing our layers. I just find the scissor over comb is the easiest thing to do to create this, just because sometimes you're able to follow that guide better. So this is when we're gonna start cutting into these pieces that we over directed forward. So you're literally going to come in. I've got my comb at an angle here. I see my guide back here, cut. And literally just follow the angle of your guide. And the one thing that's nice about scissor over comb is you literally can see the guide falling, and that's where you know to cut. And if anything, you can have more length left than cutting too much length. Come in, cut. All right, so I'm gonna let down this top section. We do have some excess length still that is just too long, so I'm gonna cut that first so it's out of the way and I'll be able to see better. And now I'll be able to blend this in better. So we obviously have all this length through this back that needs to come in and blend it. So we're literally just gonna basically be doing sort of layers, not layers, back to the scissor over comb. And still take a section if you need to. This mannequin's hair is real thick. Come in, I see my guide here. I'll let that fall, cut. A little bit coming into this back section. Kind of go till I meet in the middle. Start taking some small layers because now we're just trying to soften that top layer as it's falling in that ear region. And we're just softening up these top layers that come down to the ear. So looking at this, we're still gonna be creating a bang. I'm gonna wait to do that till after I get done with the other side. You wanna feel through it, see how it's laying, and think about you want it smoother in this area. So I would actually come back in and cut into this a little bit tighter, just so this lays a little smoother. And obviously if the client's like, no, I like how it looks, like leave it, then for sure leave it. But if they want it a little bit smoother here, because either they have a lot of hair or they just don't want it bulky, we're gonna come back in and cut into that. And all you would do for that is literally just cut into it more so scissor over comb to take out that bulk. You're layering it a little bit more. And it doesn't take you hardly any time. So I'm gonna leave this for now, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do these same steps on the other side. I'm not gonna talk just so I save you guys some time because this is a lengthy tutorial, but we're gonna do the same exact thing, and then we're gonna come in and we'll do the bangs, and I'll show you how I finalize getting some of the bulk out, so that way it's not too heavy. Remember, when you're softening up this very top hair, because you don't want to cut into it much, when I go to cut the layer, I'm literally gliding down as I cut the whole time. So that way I'm not taking out more length than needed. And we've got a couple hairs here in the back we've got to blend in. And I'm just angling up as I cut. Okay, so I'm gonna set my bangs first, and then we're gonna start texturizing the top. All right, so the bangs, she sort of has one kind of already. I think there was one there mildly before, but like these cuts, they all have a pretty good side bang. I'm gonna take a look at the picture again. And as you can see, some are a little bit shorter, but they definitely all have like a bang. So I'm gonna keep that in mind, and I'm just gonna shorten this up a little bit more in the corner. I'm gonna come on the one side first, and I'm just gonna sliver down. And what I'll redo is I will reshape the bangs, like I'll spray them down and dry them again so I can get them to lay how I really want. And we're just gonna connect. And we're gonna continue that all the way down. So you can see my guide here. Cut. Getting this piece here. There we go. And so what we're gonna do now is just blend this in a little bit more. Okay, then I'm gonna match my bang on the other side, and then we'll get to texturizing. Just meeting up with that shorter piece on this side. And you're just gonna follow that down. Take a look at the front. You pull, make sure that they're lining up. See if one side needs to be brought up more than the other. Just a little bit of layer here. Leave that for now. Okay, so now we begin to perfect the cut. We're in its final stage. This is why I say I like to book extra time, because pixies are a very specific haircut. They're very precise. It's a lot of precision, it's a lot of sectioning, so you don't ever want to rush a pixie. This isn't just like a trim, like, oh, fit me in for just a trim kind of haircut. So we're just gonna come in now and start creating the texture. I'm using my regular thinning shears. You could point cut if you want, but we're just gonna be coming in and cutting in so we start creating that texture. And what this does, this is allowing for when you go to style it, you have the option to get more body. So if you want more height and more bend, you'll be able to do this by creating the texture in the hair. You can still though keep it sleek and smooth. So you can have the benefits of both looks, but the key with this haircut is always maintaining enough length up here to be able to have that smooth, sleek, longer look. And then you always, what I love is still have the option to tuck. So I will always texturize first and then go back in and see if I need to add some layers. But I'm gonna go all the way around the head, texturizing, and then take a look at it and see if I wanna cut into that top more. And I'm gonna come in and create a little bit of layering now, I think. So I've gotten a lot of bulk out, but we still have this length up top that I feel like, at least in the bang area, because this is pretty heavy, it needs a little layering. So this part would be optional. Once you get to this point, I usually will have the client kind of like feel through it. Obviously, you still need to like tweak the bangs to style them the way that they would want them laying. But I'll have the client like run their hands through their hair. Does it feel bulky here? Does it feel bulky there? Do you think you want any more length taken off here? And let them feel through it with their hands and give them the opportunity to let you know if they do want more. Or you might want to cut more, but they might be like, nope, it's perfect, leave it. I've had plenty of clients that I'm like, please let me cut more. And they're like, no, Summer, it's good. And I think it should be tweaked, but they don't want it, you know? So always give them the chance before you go in and actually add some layers here to see if that's what they really want. And I'm just barely cutting into it. I'm not really creating many more layers. It's just softening it up a little bit more. This bang area definitely needed them. So the main thing when cutting a pixie is you wanna always take your time. Don't rush it. It's not a rushed haircut, small sections, and just breathe while doing it. They can be really overwhelming, and you know, you just need to see how the person's hair is gonna lay. That's why I like to dry it first to get it nice and smooth, and then you can go in and tweak. This crown area needs just a little bit more layering because when I go to fluff here, it just looks a little bit long. And same on this side where we had that bang, just cut into that a little bit more. And again, I'm checking my front pieces. We need a little bit more length taken off this corner. I come back and look at it again, and it's looking good. So the one final thing I would say to do is come in through your back, make sure that back perimeter is clean. She needs a little corner dusting there. Let me make her head straight for one. But yeah, just a little in this corner. Mannequin hair is a little bit more challenging to cut a pixie because their hair and neckline is not the same as a human. Like the hair does not move at the hairline at all. She's looking pretty good. I'm gonna spritz her bangs down to reshape them. I'm gonna use some paste to get it styled. That way you guys can see the final look with a little bit more texture to it, and we'll get you guys out of here. All right, here is our finished look for our pixie cut, and I'm actually going to show this to you styled, both smooth and more textured, so you guys can see how you can style this cut both ways, and I want you to tell me if you like it more smooth or with more texture. This is the one I cut for the video, and I styled it more smooth and sleek with bend in the bang and lightly throughout the rest of the cut, and we're able to get that more smooth look because we focused on keeping that length up top. And then this one is the same cut but styled more textured, so it has a little bit more movement to it. It's got a messy, sassy look, but because of that length again left on the top, you can have the option to do both textured or smooth. I love the way it looks with both styles. You really can't go wrong with either. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.